Welcome to Lockbeard Random Live number 34. There can be only one. It's Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, November 21st, 2021. Welcome, everybody. See, we got a couple people already here. Mark Dobman says, good day, Lockbeard. Hopefully be able to hang around a bit longer today. Awesome. And Prairie Fire says, same here. Random lives are spur of the moment, so there wasn't any plan to be on tonight originally, but figured why not. Years ago, I became interested in immortalism, which is the idea of attempting to extend human life as long as possible via technology. A lot of people get angry about this for some reason. I've had people say, basically that you don't have a right to. They say there's too many people in the world and you don't have a right to take up space, basically, and extend your life for hundreds of years or whatever the case may eventually be. I don't know. I don't know what the limits are. But I would ask them, how many kids do you have? How many kids will they have? That one person saying those things, 1,000 years from now, there could be, hundreds of descendants of that person. Whereas, in my case, I don't have any children of my own. It's a weird situation, but if I have no kids, well, in 1,000 years, if I'm still hanging around, I'm just one person, and that person complaining about me taking up space has hundreds of descendants at that point. So the argument goes out the window. Now, they could, if they knew that I do have biological children, but they were provided to couples out there by me, couples who couldn't have kids without that assistance, right? So for all intents and purposes, that's their continuation of their family, even though genetically those kids are mine. So, but even so, so I don't think they count as far as me and my continuation. I have, 4 brothers and a half brother, but I don't know what my half brother's doing these days. But of me and all my brothers, there's only been 2 kids. One of them's only had 2 kids. So, the family isn't expanding, it's shrinking. So they just don't have any. There's no reason for that. That argument doesn't make sense in my case. So why is it that people become so angry? It's not a lot of people, but occasionally you run across someone. They hear about someone who wants to utilize technology to extend life to extraordinary lengths, hundreds of years, thousands of years. They get angry that and they have these. It's like I don't understand it. Why do they get so mad? You know, is it fit? Is it? It's like the kid who isn't playing with a toy, but doesn't want the other kid to play with the toy. I kind of think it's like that. Like they aren't someone who is, can I say, brave enough to embrace the technologies coming that will extend life to great lengths. But they don't want you to do it. So I don't know. It's it's just crazy. Let me see who else has showed up. Let's see. We got Jen. Welcome. And Michael Haywood. Welcome. Now, I'm sure you guys are aware of cryogenics, which is, it's not freezing like people think it's freezing. You're at extremely cold temperatures, but freezing specifically refers to, water's forming ice crystals and stuff like that in your body. But the cryogenic process, they try to remove all the water from your body and replace it with a kind of antifreeze, and so the crystals don't form. So you're extremely cold temperatures, but not exactly frozen. Now I don't know that I like the idea of going through that process. If that was the only way, to say that the doctors could not, they couldn't do anything, then yeah. But I would rather not. That it doesn't sound like something that would be fun to go through. And right now, it's an unproven technology. There are a bunch of people cryogenically preserved right now, but the cryogenic process itself will kill you, and they don't know how to reverse it yet. But they're betting on people eventually figuring out how to successfully reverse it. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like most people have given this pretty much zero thought. The concept, and even if they have, they're not interested. A lot of people have said, I wouldn't want to live that long. I wouldn't want to live that long. I wonder why. People have in them, basic self-preservation, but they are but they will grow old and die even if they don't have to. And it certainly looks like we're coming to a point where you don't have to. There's plenty of science coming down the pipeline for that. Aging cannot be stopped entirely just yet, but some aspects of it can. So now, I don't know what we can do to keep a person from dying in the case of like a bad car wreck. That's probably always going to be a problem. But as far as something like telomere erosion, that can be stopped entirely and reversed, completely reversed. We already have the technology to do that, and scientists think that that is the uh, primary driver of aging, right? Um, if you're not familiar with that at all, I'd be surprised, if there was more than one person here that knew anything about that. Your DNA, your chromosomes, at the end of the chromosomes, there is sequences of DNA. It's just a repeating sequence called the telomeres. And they're there because every time your cells divide, a short piece of DNA has to be sacrificed. It has to break off the end. And as you start to run out of telomeres, you start to break down, is basically the idea. It's called telomere erosion. But the body has a mechanism for producing a substance that is designed to rebuild telomeres. So what you can do is take in some extra of this, because it doesn't rebuild telomeres as fast as they erode typically. And this is necessary for selective breeding, because if you had an individual that did not age at all and never died, then that person is continuing to reintroduce their same DNA generation after generation of whatever species you're talking about. And DNA isn't changing with the rest of the species, but it can have a slowing effect on the evolution of that species, the change of that species to adapt to new things. So it'd be detrimental for you to have non-aging, non-dying individuals as far as species adaptation over time. So you gotta have out with the old and in with the new for that to happen and for a species to survive. But we're getting to a point where we've taken ourselves out of the normal evolutionary process completely. I mean, we've totally separated ourselves from nature, and it's been actually really bad. And it's to a point now where I think it would actually be beneficial to preserve old DNA lines to prevent humanity from having negative changes in the coming generations. We've already seen negative changes because of the way our society is now. We're basically selectively breeding our species, not on purpose, but it is on purpose because we're doing what we're doing, but we're not doing it for this reason. It's a negative side effect of our way of life. We're making our species less intelligent and less resilient with every generation now, because we're not subject to the normal selective breeding in nature anymore. We separate ourselves from that, and we think we're smart for doing that. But like I've said before, we've gotten just smart enough to be dangerous to ourselves, and this hasn't been good for us. So I think hopefully before we get too stupid to start to continue making advancement in technology, we achieve the ability to confer biological immortality onto some individuals to preserve old DNA lines to prevent the species from basically going extinct one of these days. Icon's here. He says, good evening, Nakyas. Just wanted to stop in for a minute to say hello and let my viewers know I'm not going to be live this evening, having issues with my potatoes and the dog. Oh, okay. Potatoes, man. Always a problem this time of year. Uncle Bones is here. Welcome. Patrick Vaughn's here, and he says, "Who wants to live forever?" Yeah. I almost titled it that, but it was pushing the limits on how long my titles are. I kind of want to try to keep them a little bit shorter at least, but not always. But it would have been a good title. Welcome, Patrick. Let's see. Sanders here. Hello. Nemo's here. He says car accidents will be practically non-existent once our robot overlords take the wheel. Robots don't drink and drive or fall asleep at the wheel. Yeah, I've seen where they've already had some instances where people with autopilot in their cars already falling asleep and getting in some trouble, I guess, because of that, because you're not supposed to actually fall asleep, even if the car can drive itself. I don't know. I think that technology is going to be dangerous to us at some point. What's going to suck is that at some point it's going to get good enough to where the government will try to mandate that you're not allowed to drive your own vehicle anymore. It'll be, it'll probably get worse than like in iRobot, where she was thought he was crazy for driving manually. Yeah, I think it'll get worse than that. They'll try and take away our right to drive, because they'll keep throwing out that crap like driving is a privilege. No, Lockbeard don't buy that bullshit. Driving is not a privilege. It is my right to travel by whatever means I choose. I don't need the government taking over the roadways and then putting a bunch of ridiculous rules on it telling me what I can and can't do. The government can take their roads and fuck all the way off with that bullshit. Oh, you got to wear a seatbelt or we're going to ticket you so we can make some revenue. They don't give a shit about your safety for real. They just got to say that to sound like what they're doing is legit. They just care about controlling you and sucking some more money out of the slave. You're a slave. You just don't know it. You are a slave. They just figured out how to masquerade it really well. So you think you're free, but you're really not. Icon says, Michael, my potatoes are leaking and the gases are extremely poisonous, and my dog has something wrong with its ear and is trying to claw his brains out. Long night ahead. Man, I don't know what kind of potatoes you got, but you might want to get some different potatoes, man. Did you expose them to a magnet? That's all I gotta know. You must have done it. You must have exposed them to the wrong pole or something. Oh, man. Omen laptop. Icon says, lack of being self-sustaining and breeding the stability out of genes will be the end of us. Yeah. Well, I mean, in all the European countries, all the countries that are predominantly Caucasian. Look, I don't know if we want to go into trying to analyze why this is, but all of them are not having enough kids to replenish themselves, and some of them it's so low. The birth rate is so low. They would, if they were some animal out there, scientists would declare them an endangered species that's plummeting towards extinction. Because we're plummeting towards extinction. It just, people think in these short time scales, so they don't really think. They look around and say, well, there's plenty of Caucasians around here. Not for long. On if you can think beyond just your little human lifespan. Not with the current birth rates the way they are, and that is bad. And there's a bunch of people out there think that what I just said was just racist or something. No, look, you guys claim you value multiculturalism, and I see a world where cultures of Iceland and Ireland and France, these are all unique cultures too. Don't you want to preserve them as well? Well, when their people die out and their lands have been replaced by people from somewhere else, those cultures will be gone. You'll have less multiculturalism. So I'm outing you right now. The people who claim to be multiculturalists are actually the racist. You guys you guys, the multiculturalism is a word used to masquerade, your to disguise your racism towards Caucasians. Let's just get that straight. That's what you guys are. Don't even try to pretend. We freaking know. We know what you are. You guys keep trying to call us racist just because we're not even doing anything racist. We're the most non-racist people on the goddamn planet, is the fact. I mean, we are the ones who have caused the slavery to be outlawed all around the globe. We've made other races stop having slavery as much as we can. We haven't been successful. Slavery is alive and well in place like Africa. Slavery's going on there just fine. We haven't been able to stop it entirely. But you guys keep calling us the racists, and fuck off for it too. Excuse my French. Nemo says nobody's having babies. Social security programs are going to collapse in a few decades. Government socialism in an aging population appears to be a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. Where hopefully you need to have your own retirement plan. Not just because you're probably going to find out that money isn't really there, but also because this also depends on the U.S. dollar still, functioning once you get old enough to collect Social Security. And Social Security is not that much money anyway. You can't really live on that. You'd be living at poverty levels if you tried to live on your Social Security for the most part. Or what our idea of poverty is. Our idea of poverty in America is nothing like a poverty in third world countries. Those people know real poverty. You don't have real poverty when you have fat poor people. Okay, that's not real poverty. They may think it is, but it's not. Nemo says the hatred blaming against white folks is disgusting. Jesse Lee Peterson talks about that all the time. Yeah, and they call him a racist for it. How dare you? How dare you speak out against anti-white racism? Prairie Fire says, call people all the names you want. It won't make a difference. Keep looking the other way, pretending it's not going on. Yeah. So many people are. But it's going to come a point where they can't anymore. And then once we start defending ourselves, they will be calling us the R word some more. It's like, how dare you defend yourselves? How dare you? You know, every time someone defends themselves with a weapon, you know, they're like, "Oh my God, this is horrible." Well, dude, you just expect person to just lay down and die? No, you have a right to defend yourself. Damn it, you have a right to defend yourself, and to be armed to the teeth. You have a right to that, no matter what these anti-gun morons have to say. And they are morons. I'm sorry if anyone in chat's anti-gun. It's a moronic thing. If you look, somebody did like a deal. It was on YouTube years ago. I don't know if it's still up or not. Where it had it was a criminal, you know, sitting in a living room or something, and he's cleaning his gun or something, and his face is blurred out, and he's talking about how he likes anti-gun legislation because it makes it safe for him to attack unarmed citizens. See, the criminals don't care that if guns are banned, right? They're going to get them on the black market, just like everything else that's illegal, right? Drugs, people were still getting drugs. It was just black market. And the same will be the case for guns always. But all these social issues are concerning for me because, you know, like if I really thought, okay, well, I'm going to be dead in 40 years anyway, or 50 years anyway, so what I care? I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking like an immortalist, like I'm thinking long term, like I want to be around in 1,000 years. I want to see how far we come if we do continue to improve and develop. But with some of the developments we've had of late, it looks to me like we're going to our species is going to basically commit suicide. We're going to go extinct because if we keep doing some of the things that we're doing, we are dooming ourselves. He does, Nemo. Icon says, they were exposed to a magnet, but the ones that were slightly damaged got a fungus and are starting to rot. It's just the way the potato crumbles. Yeah, you souped up the fungus. You magnetically souped up the fungus. That's my theory. Prairie Fire says the big elephant's in the room and whites won't acknowledge it. Yeah. More are though. You know, they're starting to wake up because they're just starting to see how ridiculous this shit is. You know, we bent over backwards not to be racist. Meanwhile, other groups are being extraordinarily racist towards us. You saw where one of the minions of What's His Nuts came in my chat the other day and tried to call me a racist for calling out What's His Nuts for his crime. I didn't say anything about his color. I don't give a fuck what color he is. I care about what he did. See, they don't like it when you hold people accountable for what they did. They don't get their way. They pull out that little race card. Yeah, here. I'm like, well, bitch, that's nice and all. That's a real nice card you got there. Except you're talking to the wrong guy. Lockbeard doesn't give a fuck. I don't care. I got my own race card. I mean, technically, I'm a tribe member of a native tribe. So all you mothers don't belong here, but you don't see me doing that because I give zero fucks. All I know is everyone that's here right now, except for, recent immigrants, everyone that's here right now was born here. You're a citizen. If you were born here, you had nothing to do with the crimes of the past. It's not your damn fault. So stop begging for, reparations, and you got systemic racism, and you're benefiting from when your what your ancestors did. Dude, I shit. Where the hell, dude? I grew up in poverty, assholes. I like to see where my damn privilege was at that time. Where is it now? I ain't got no damn privilege. Fuck you with your fucking white privilege shit. You're so full of shit. The most privilege I get is out of my damn Indian card if I want to utilize it. I mean, you want to talk about some privilege? There's some privilege. Why don't you point at that? But they don't. There's this movement to demonize Caucasians specifically. It's you beat the people down. You get them, just saying, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that," or "I'm sorry, I'm willing to pay reparations." You try you guilting people into giving you the handouts that you want. Are you proud of that? Are you proud of just being a taker and someone, a victim, and getting these handouts, or would you be more proud of just going to freaking work and earning your own keep in the world? Because you're perfectly capable, right? But you'd rather take from somebody else, and you want to criticize us and say that we somehow did something to you that we never did. And without acknowledging that your own people, like I said, slavery is alive and well in Africa, and the slave masters are not white people, dumbasses. do you think several hundred years ago that white people jumped off the boats in Africa and started chasing people around in the bush of Africa? No, they made purchases, and those purchases were from black slave masters who are still in operation today in Africa. Kiss my ass with that shit. Nemo says, "Yep, we need to legalize all drugs, but Big Pharma and the drug cartels are bribing politicians to keep them illegal." What? Yeah, exactly. Friends of mine that I know of who are big advocates for legal marijuana are anti-legalization of cocaine, meth, and all these other drugs, and they'll argue with me about this. So I don't know, those are bad. I'm like, you're not thinking about this correct. Everything is economics too. Okay. People still have these substances on the street right now. The only thing that prohibition has done has given bad people a corner on the market. Bad people are making lots of money off illegal drugs. And people who are in favor of drug prohibition right now, because they think, okay, drugs are bad, so they need to be illegal. No. Now, drugs are bad. Don't get me wrong. But prohibition always makes the problem worse. How many people grow their own tobacco? Very, very few. It's just kind of like, it's like a small, like in brewing beer and stuff like that. It's just a few hobbyists and stuff do that stuff. Most people that use alcohol and tobacco just go down to the damn convenience store and buy it, or the liquor store, or smoke shop, or wherever. They just go buy it. If meth is legalized, it'd be about the same thing, I mean, at first it'd be something similar, like you got to go to certain shops for marijuana right now. So they're not going to be cooking in their trailer very much. Like right now, they're trying to cook it because they can make a bunch of money selling it, or they just want it that bad and they can't get it anywhere else. And so you legalize meth, people are going to stop trying to cook meth in their homes, which is dangerous. You legalize all these drugs, you're not going to have any more of this crap where, you know, the dealer has laced your drug of choice with some other drug to get you hooked. You're not going to have tainted stuff, you know, that could kill you. You know, because it's all produced according to regulations, right? Just like everything else, it's regulated, so it has to be, you know, pure, proper lab conditions and stuff like that. You know, so all these problems are going to go away. These problems are created by the drug laws. You know, for the most part, there'll still be some of that. There'll always still be some of that, but it's increased by the drug laws. Even like in places like some states have, you know, dry counties where you can't buy alcohol. I was looking at an article a few years back where they were examining that kind of situation where people can't just go down to the convenience store and buy alcohol in these dry counties. So where they get it, they'll get it from, you know, basically black market. And when you're dealing with black market, these people have other kinds of stuff you're not supposed to have too. And what they found is people in dry counties are more likely to get hooked on other drugs because they're exposed to that community, to that black market arena. Dry counties cause more drug use. The dry counties are places where your local government is still too dumb to have learned their lesson from the prohibition of alcohol. Prohibition is always bad. You need to save your resources for fighting crime. That is most important. But because we're wasting time on all this stupid shit, substances, look, fuck those substances. What about human trafficking? We have human trafficking going on through Oklahoma. And it's probably going on in every state in the United States. Maybe if we were spending less time worrying about freaking drugs, we could take those resources, you know, and focus on that and that's a real crime that needs to be stopped. We still got murders and rapes, theft, where there's a real actual victim of it. You know, to me, if you don't have a victim, you don't have a crime. If you're in a free nation, you're free to do whatever the hell you want to yourself until you hurt someone else. Because I've had people try to say, well, crack needs to be illegal because crackheads like to steal stuff. Well, stealing's a crime. Bust them for stealing. Like, I lived next door for a while to some people that were definitely on something, but they kept to themselves. They didn't, you know, they really kept to themselves. They didn't want to draw attention to themselves. Good. If they ever come over and try to steal stuff, they'd run into some problems. But they never did. But the point is you're using another crime to justify having this crime here still be a crime. They're running out of excuses for keeping these ridiculous laws that don't work. They don't work at all. You just fill the prisons up with people that have been using substances, and nothing ever changes. And it hasn't. I mean, we've had these stupid laws for decades, and nothing has changed. Nothing. There's still people out there using it. There's still dealers out there selling it. It's just think it through. Think it through. Yeah. Yes, drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. But making them illegal is not the answer to addressing them. It's just not. It doesn't work. It makes it worse. It is what it is, and that's that. Icon says, I might have souped up the fungus. Yeah. I'm going to get back to it. We'll be listening and keep up the good work, spreading the right info, sir. I'm trying, man. Good luck with your show also. Brandy messaged me about you being on, but I was past my bedtime. It is what it is. Just got to roll with the punches, mate. Prairie Fire says, Western nations in the 80s and 90s passed all these anti-hate bills in anticipation of this war of genocide against whites. It was all planned. I think so. And what will happen as a result, because once a critical mass of Caucasian people get fed up with the bullshit and they start taking action, there will be no stopping them. So I wonder if the plan was just that. Get white people pissed off, riled up, sick of being treated like shit, and then finally, well, it'll be bad. You get them pissed off that much, and they start taking action. There will be no stopping it, and it won't be a pretty sight. And we'll look back on the event in history thinking, what the fuck happened? Well, it was orchestrated. You pitted one group against another, and you purposely just kept pummeling this group until they got pissed off and just started fucking some shit up. And, we're well armed. And when we fuck some shit up, we really fuck some shit up. You remember what happened? World War II. You had basically, for the most part, white people against white people, and we fucked each other up. Japan's probably wishing they didn't get involved with that shit because you saw what the fuck happened to them. We nuked 2 fucking cities, man. It will not end well. And I think you're right. I think that they're trying to push things over the edge like that on purpose. Probably those of us that are seeing this and know what's going on, we probably just need to go, sit on a mountaintop somewhere with some binoculars and some popcorn and watch the damn show, because we can't stop it. We know it's retarded, but we can't stop it. It has to happen. It's directly tapping into human nature. Humans are geared to fight. They'll find some reason to fight. And battles between racial groups are kind of easy because you basically, if you're in that kind of situation, your enemy is readily identifiable on sight by something that's just a biological happenstance. It's not like having different ideologies, because a lot of times, 2 different people of different ideologies look exactly the same, or different religions, different political ideals look exactly the same a lot of the time. This one's easy because you can tell, when you got 2 groups pitted against each other that look different, man, you can orchestrate battle and it'll go down. Prairie Fire says they effectively handcuffed the white segments of the Western world. Yeah. And now our culture, our people, our homes lay prostrate, defenseless. Well, until they get fed up, and then, oh shit, man. That immigration flow will reverse. I'm just predicting. I'm not saying, I'm not advocating for it or anything. I'm just saying that's what will happen. The people that have been struggling to get in here will be running for their lives out of this country and other countries where a similar thing has been orchestrated. I'm trying my best to avoid certain words that YouTube might get freaked out about. Oh, we gotta shut the stream down. Listen to what he's saying. Yep, Prairie Fire, correct. He was a black man, first slave owner in America. They don't want you to know that shit. For legal, yeah, it was kind of a weird situation, but yeah. Nemo says legalize ruthless. Well, ruthless is totally legalized here, unless he goes full troll or something. But I don't think he's a troll. Yeah. Prayer fire stealing. The communists have legalized it in California. The last grocery store left Detroit or earlier this year. Wow. Yeah. I worked for one. It was Lowe's. I worked for Lowe's, and they said if someone grabs some shit and runs for the door, you are not to try and stop them. They're worried that, if you hurt someone and they sue the store. And I'm like, what the hell? They're stealing shit. Fine. You don't want me to. I'm not, you're not paying me enough to put myself in danger anyway. But this is Oklahoma. Tim Boys here. What's up? What we doing, bro? Well, kind of talking about immortalism, but it's kind of gone off into some other tangents. But I think they're relevant to, because me as someone who wants to utilize technology to live, hundreds or thousands of years if possible. I gotta see what the social situation is where I'm living, right? And the whole damn world's lost its damn mind. And apparently people with my color are just automatically evil at birth or some shit. And so how good of a world do I have to look forward to? Trimming the fat. Yeah. Paraphrases my grandfather used to say, if you don't listen, you'll have to feel. Yeah. Paraphrases. South Africa was the test case when they turned the murdering Mandela loose. Yeah. Yeah. They used to complain, it's apartheid and blah, blah, blah. But then as soon as they ended that, you had this, like, how many people? It was hundreds of thousands of people were, like, murdered. It was like a massive genocide occurred as soon as Caucasians lost control of the country. I'm just saying. We are doing our best to stop shit like that these days. Regardless of what happened historically, these days, we try to stop that kind of shit anywhere we can, but until you tie our hands like they did in South Africa. And then, of course, a lot of people have heard about the farm murders and stuff like that down there, where they've been going in and torturing and raping and murdering Caucasians. There's a genocide ramping up against Caucasians in South Africa. You don't hear about that on the news. Yeah, Ruthless is cool. Prayer says, when a store prosecutes a thief, their insurance goes up, thus taking the profit out of being open. Yeah. Yeah. So at some point, the people have to do something about the thieves, right? And when the people start acting, things get messy, man. But the government set this up. I think they're doing this shit on purpose. They want chaos in the streets in America. They want it. This is any chaos we see in the streets in America, the government is orchestrating it. and probably a lot of your countries across the pond and elsewhere as well. Team Boy says, I thought y'all were talking about something new. Carry on. I don't know. I don't know. Anemo says, our ARG, what is that? Is an ETF based on the genomic revolution. Just my opinion. Not financial advice. Not sure what you're referring to there. Prairie Fire says, yep, the whole of Africa went to shit when the ANC, were turned loose. Yep. Bad news. They are. Nemo says, 100-year lifespan is reasonable for young folks nowadays. Yeah, but I want thousands or even eternity, because although now, of course, if you were here for last night's discussion, sometimes the thought enters my head, what's the point of being here in this in the phenomenal world, in the physical state? Maybe it's better to exit to the metaphysical and stay there without becoming a haunting ghost. But I don't know. I don't know. The New World Order is relying on this chaos. Yeah. They could easily make a peaceful world, but they don't want that. They do not want that. Average life expectancy, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother ball of wax. Like, we've seen increases in, drug overdoses and suicides and stuff like that. What's going on with the world that's causing that caused it, because we've been seeing these small increases in the death rate for years now, and it's just something's wrong with our society. Captain Stinka's here, welcome. And the Bat Mom's here, welcome. Nemo says, Prairie Fire, yeah, suicide and overdose is on the rise, but technological advances in the next 20, 30 years should increase lifespan. Yeah. It should, but I kind of wonder if they'll try to keep it where poor people can't use it. They'll use the excuse, there's too many people in the world, you're not allowed, we have too many people. Overpopulations, and so that'll probably be, I think they'll try to keep it financially inaccessible. Icon says, but they want to build a nuclear reactor on the moon. We can just move away from the crazies and live there. Well, I'm not convinced the moon is an option. I mean, I wish we could get more evidence for this, but it's really not. It's kind of out of reach, right? that the moon is already occupied and has been for thousands and thousands of years, ever since it was constructed. Which, I can't prove that either necessarily. There just seems to be some experimental evidence that the damn thing was constructed. And, of course, there's an issue with like, I forget the name of the mineral that they say is the source of the excessive amounts of titanium on the moon. Supposedly, it's a naturally occurring mineral. I wonder if they're lying about that part, and but I don't know. But the other things are still there, right? The craters are too shallow for how wide they are. The density of the moon is too low. The Apollo experiment, where they impacted the moon and they used seismometers to measure, the vibrations from that, and the moon, it basically rang like a bell. All these things, the implication being, all these things point to it being metal and hollow, or largely hollow, because it was probably constructed by somebody. It wasn't a natural satellite to start with. It's covered with rock and debris now because it's been impacted for thousands of years, but these other pieces of evidence seem to indicate that underneath all that dirt and rock is an artificial space station, I guess you could call it. A damn big one, but a space station. Prairie Fire says it would be really nice if that happens. Let's go. Scotty's here. Welcome. Nemo says every morning is a little life, a very sleep, and I guess you mean in every sleep is a little death. Schopenhauer. Michael says, don't look now, but there's that FJC. Yeah. Yep, there he is. Nemo says, hey, Scotty, we have a happy-go-lucky stream tonight. Have you noticed? School Nemo, Stinka. Who's Pat? Did I miss Pat somewhere? I didn't see him. A couple of you were over at Harryman Hoaxes and Hoodwinks right before this, as was I, discussing the Falcon project. Which, I don't know why, why anyone would think that you could float a big ass blimp over the woods and catch Sasquatch. They have been avoiding us and cameras and everything else all these years. You think they're not going to notice a big freaking thing in the sky? And it'd be too slow. Like it ain't like you could catch up to them or anything. They'd have plenty of time to hide. Just how they thought that was. How did they get Meldrum remotely interested in that? It's just crazy. So none of y'all said, if the technology came that would allow you to live and stay young 300 years. If technology came that allowed you to live for 300 years while staying young, would you do it? Why and why not? Nemo says New Zealand is the go-to escape plan, not the moon. I don't know, man. Government New Zealand's kind of whack. And then you're trapped on a little island. Scotty says most of the Kiwis are here in Australia. Yep. We better address the title. The title of this tonight's show. Highlander was immortal, right? Y'all are familiar with that. So I thought it was kind of a good reference.
There can be only one.
Boom. Yeah. The movies and the shows are kind of goofy, but whatever. Assuming they could preserve normal, youthful, functioning life, bones and organs are fine, right? If the technology came along that would allow you to live 300 years in a youthful and healthy condition, would you want to do it?
There can be only one.
Yep. Tim Boy says, I really don't know looking at the atmosphere today. Yeah. It's definitely a consideration. At some point, I mean, we talked about suicides on the rise. What if that becomes like pretty damn common where people are like, you know what? I'm done checking out. It ain't the country, it's the dictatorship. Yeah. Nemo says 300 years, it all depends on the quality of life. David Benatar talks about this stuff. Yeah, quality of life. That's the goal. I mean, immortalists don't want to sit there and just become, just ever more decrepit. We want to be in a healthy condition, not suffering, right? I have a novel somewhere that's about that. Can't remember the name of the author or even the name of the book, but I got the novel somewhere, which was written by an immortalist to kind of paint a picture of society as immortal, immortalist technology or life extension technology comes into effect. And, some of the characters ended up getting cryogenically preserved. And then, you know, at the end, there's this guy, like, he drowned, I think. So he was largely, he just drowned. So he was pretty much intact, and they preserved him. And then later on, they were able to revive him, and he was restored to life. And he was, years in the future, and it was in the future, like they didn't carry around cell phones anymore because they had the technology installed in their head, so you could basically communicate telepathically via technology that was installed in your head. So it was pretty cool outcome, pretty cool illustration of how it could be. It's a regime. It has been since about 1950. Scotty says, would it be plausible, Nemo, asking for a friend? I think it's totally plausible. It's just the technology's got to catch up. Like earlier, I was talking about telomere erosion. Like scientists pretty much agree that telomere erosion is the primary factor in aging. And we can completely reverse telomere erosion now. It's like not even a problem. It was surprisingly simple, really, because your body has a natural mechanism for rebuilding telomeres, but it doesn't rebuild as fast as the erosion process takes place. So you age, right? Your telomeres erode, and eventually you start running out of telomeres, and shit starts breaking down. Well, what's it called? I forget the name of it, but anyway, they've been able to synthesize a man-made version of the substance, and you can buy this stuff, and they've already been testing it on people, and they can measure what your telomere length is and kind of get an estimate of what your telomere length age is, right? Because on average, your telomeres are going to be a certain length at a certain age, and so they can kind of it's not always the same because different people have different erosional rates, but anyway, people who take this substance they've rebuilt their telomeres, and theoretically you could rebuild your telomere length to as long as you want in all your DNA, right? So if you want the telomeres of a 10-year-old kid, you can get there. And I kind of wonder if just how far you can push it. Like, how far will the body allow you to? Can you take enough of this stuff to build your telomere length up beyond the length that you would have as a newborn baby? So then will we start saying, this person has the telomere length age would be the equivalent of -50, So, but it's the other factors in aging we need to start looking at, because the body still breaks down, and you could fight that stuff with just normal shit. You see old people, people even in their 50s, they're becoming decrepit to an extent. But meanwhile, you have some few people out there who they just, lift weights and exercise and stay active, and they can be extraordinarily vibrant. Even they can build muscle even in their 90s. It's not an issue, and be far more mobile and capable, and you don't have to just sit there and let shit break down. But most people seem to do that. They just kind of sit and let shit break down, especially after they retire. Like, I don't want to. From what I see from retirement looks to me like this person is just waiting to die. Well, screw that. I don't intend to just wait to die. I'm intend to live. So, hopefully, weightlifting will always be part of my life. And hopefully I'll be one of those 90-year-old guys in the gym, pushing weight. Scotty says, all my family and friends would be dead. Well, yeah, a lot of people bring that up. They don't want to outlive everyone they know. But, you would have great-great-grandchildren. That's your family too. And new friends. And this is assuming everybody doesn't just start using the technology. Then, in that case, all your family and friends would not be dead. They would be utilizing the technology too. But that's probably not going to be the case. It seems like a large number of people are just turned off by the whole idea. They don't like the idea at all. And it spooks them somehow, I guess. Well, I wouldn't want to live that long. I wouldn't want to live. People say it all the time. I wouldn't want to live that long. It's kind of strange to me, but I'm like, then don't. You don't. It ain't like, because some people get mad. It's like, I don't want that. Blah blah blah. Well, it's as if they feel like I'm trying to say we should force it on them. I'm not saying we should force shit on you. You can grow old and die if you want. All I'm asking for is the right for me and other people like me to be able to have this control over our own lives and do what we want. Because there's people advocating that we not be allowed to do this for ourselves. They want to stop us from this. Even right now, like cryogenic preservation, you can't be cryogenically preserved before you're declared legally dead under any circumstance. And the problem with that is sometimes it's better to do that. And there was one good example of this. This woman, her body was just riddled with cancer, and she was suffering. But she didn't want to die. She wasn't that old necessarily. She could have had many more years of life in her, and I don't know whatever became of this woman, but she wanted to be cryogenically preserved now, so that one day when they're able to revive her and cure her cancer, she can live with quality of life, healthy, not in pain, instead of suffering now like she was. Because right now, at the time, she was suffering and she was going to suffer and die. Well, why make that woman suffer and die? Why does she not have the choice to go be cryogenically preserved now? But the law does not allow it, because the cryogenic process kills you. And, the old Kevorkian thing, they don't like that. They don't want people to have the choice, that kind of choice over their own body. And they should have that choice. Nemo says different considerations. Is life worth starting?
versus life worth continuing. Well, what do you mean starting? I mean, it's already started. Started about 46 years ago. I'm looking to continue it for as long as possible. Scotty says, I'm 40 and sometimes it's too much. Jen says, no, I'm not looking forward to working for another 15 years before retirement age. Never mind 300 years. Yeah. A lot of people say stuff similar to that. But me, I'm like, no, I want to be alive and functioning, living a good quality of life and working for 300 years. The idea of retiring to me is just, it's like you're hanging it up. You're preparing to just waste away and die, and I don't want any part of that whole wasting away and dying. I don't want to be, on a walker, and I don't want to lose my damn mind and just let my body just fall apart. So retirement just looks like people are just waiting to die. They just kind of sit around and just start wasting away. And that's totally doesn't, a lot of that is totally avoidable, but most people don't do anything to avoid it. Like everyone is getting older. If they've never been much into lifting weights, they need to get into the gym and start doing it and change their diet. If you're eating carbs, stop eating carbs. I mean, I'm still guilty doing it sometimes, but I'm working on getting better and better about sticking to the proper diet that humans are evolved for, which is almost entirely meat. Fatty meat, red meat. They've told you fatty red meat was going to kill you, and that was them trying to kill you because they're telling you not to eat the very thing that humans are designed to eat. Fatty red meat. That's what you're designed to eat. And it's just hard to break people away from the brainwashing. They've been told that you need to eat all these vegetables and whole grains and all this complete bullshit. You absolutely do not need any vegetables. That's complete bullshit. I can't stress this enough. You do not need vegetables at all. Period. Just experiment with it. You got to ease into it because your system's got to kind of stand down from, I call it standing down from an emergency management mode. Like right now, most Americans' system is in emergency management mode because you're eating poisonous stuff all the time. It's not enough to kill you right now, but it's killing you really, really slowly. And so when you change, if you change cold turkey to an all meat diet, your system's gonna you're gonna get some serious shits and stuff like that. It's not gonna kill you, but you kind of got to ease into it. So kind of go keto. So get rid of the carbs and then start doing some fasting. Fasting also extends life, by the way. Because eating all the time, you should read up on that, how that works, but it extends life. Get to where you're eating only one meal a day And of course, people that lift weights, a lot of them have been told you need to eat 5, 6 meals a day, constantly cramming protein down your throat, and you got to get these carbs and that. And no. You're not. Look, you are not a competitive bodybuilder, and those guys a lot of times die early because their organs are like screw it, and humans aren't designed to shove 5 meals or even 3 meals down their gullet every freaking day. You're just not designed for that. You're designed to do some fasting, because in nature that's what would happen. You'd be like, well, we didn't take down a mammoth today, so we're not going to freaking eat. And it wasn't an issue. Like once you get adjusted to fasting, you'll see. See, you don't know if you haven't really engaged in this lifestyle and experience what your body does. Once you do, you'll see. You kind of got to experience it, because I can tell you all day long, and you're not going to hear it or listen. You kind of got it. The motivation's got to come from you. But once you get adjusted, like it's just amazing the changes that occur. Like hunger. Like I don't experience, because the hunger I experienced my whole life is, I suspect, I guess it's what everybody experiences every day of the normal life. Now, what I experience now is so reduced because I'm taking in the proper food, right? My body's not crying out for the right nutrition because it's getting it. And, but how I would describe the hunger I felt for most of my life is ravenous hunger. Like it was like I have to stop everything now and eat kind of thing. I didn't have breakfast. I'm hungry as hell. That goes away. So it's to the point where, like, I don't really want to eat until, the end of the day, and I'll eat one meal. And then if I want to skip that day entirely, I can, and it's not that big of an issue. About the time I normally eat, your body sends us a hunger signal because it's used to eating at the time. It does have that system in place. But, just drink some water, try doing something during that time, some kind of activity to take your mind off of the hunger that you are feeling, and it will pass, and you're good to just not even eat till the next day. Also, with eating nothing but meat, you're producing, because when you eat plants, most of that's not even digestible, and it's just going through. Like, so you have this bulk of material that you don't even need. It's why you feel bloated. It's why you have IBS and stuff like that. It's why you kind of have to go to the bathroom sometimes. Going to the bathroom at times is almost optional. You sometimes you could look, you can wait till the next day, and it's not even that big of a deal. Like, I mean, I've done that because there was nothing but porta potties, and I hate using porta potties. I was like, you know what, I'll deal with this tomorrow, and I just kind of just did, because you're not packed full of excessive material to get rid of. You're just not. You produce way less waste. This is actually good environmentally, right? Because sewage is an environmental issue. Well, if all humans go to all meat diet, there would be a drastic reduction in wastewater production, because everyone's going to be shitting way less. I mean, it's gross thing to talk about, but it's totally legit. So I better catch up with some chat here. The Buddha claims to live is to suffer. What the? Yeah. To some extent, it is kind of to suffer. But you live for the good things. Bigfoot Anon's up in here. What's up? Let's see here. Scotty says 260 years to go. That's a long time being a truckie in Australia. Well, I mean, here's a good thing. I mean, you can always try out a new career. Do something else. While you're driving, you can listen to educational material to help prepare you for the next career that you may be interested in. There might be some people that are perfectly fine doing the same job the entire time, but if you had that drastically longer life, you could try out a lot more different shit. I mean, look at it that way. To serve and to suffer. Tim Boy says, it's bad when my son tells me, Daddy, we not sure about kids. Is it right to have kids just because we want them? I want to be able to take care of them. And then I knew we had done our jobs as parents. Is it right to have kids just because you want them? It is always right to have kids if you want them. From the perspective of Mother Nature, the only thing that you absolutely have to freaking do in your existence is produce offspring. If you don't produce offspring, in Mother Nature's eyes, you failed. No one should ever feel guilty for having kids. Never more proud. Yeah. Nemo says, Lockbeard, if a computer uploaded your genome, including all memories, and then cloned you and then destroyed your current body, would you consider that you survived? Is that clone still you? That's a big question, because the question is, you were here last night, I think, where we was talking about the nature of the soul. So would the cloned body tune in to the frequency that is my soul, or whatever my spirit, whatever you want to call it? We call it those things. It's a frequency that is our true nature, not this physical body we exist in. So if it did, I mean, because again, the physical body is not really what we are. But, I'm not willing to do that. Because if that body did not latch on to the true spiritual me, then my physical body did not survive, so it's hard to really answer that, I think. Heartbreaking to hear, Timmy Boy. In a way, yes. Timmy Boy says, Parafar says, heartbreaking that they would have to even think that way. It should be easier for our children, not harder. Nemo says, Timmy Boy, that's easy. You should never have kids for selfish reasons. People mindlessly reproduce just because they want to show off on social media. I don't think that's the only reason they do it. Reproduction is the only thing that nature expects you to do. Every living thing on the planet, that's its primary goal in its existence, is to pass its DNA on to the next generation. If we're going to demonize that, then we have become a sick species. And that being said, if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. But besides helping couples have kids who can't without my help, besides the issue of helping them. Part of my reason for doing that is to make sure that my DNA is passed on to another generation. And I will continue to do that as long as there are people in need that come to me for that help. Maybe one of these days I'll find an adequate mate that can tolerate me. I'm not even going to try and blame the women in my past. I mean, I could, but I know that I am not a normal. I'm just the way I am, the way I am, and I can see how it can be hard for anyone to live with me. Icon says, did you ask who would want to live another 300 years? Yeah, if you could live healthy and youthful for 300 years, would you take advantage of the technology that would allow that? Icon says, I'd rather pound my balls flat with a wooden mallet than have to put up with another 50. And that's cool, man. If you want to check out. I mean, I'm fully in favor of people having the right to check out anytime they want. I mean, but legally you can't. Legally, you're not supposed to. Like, they don't. Why is it that? If you're suffering, or you're just done, or you're tired of it, or whatever your reason, I mean, it should be your right. I mean, why can't you have the right over your own existence? It's just, I mean, I don't think it's healthy for a person to self-delete, but there's something not right about that in a lot of the cases. But, if you're suffering, I can see it. Scotty says, in a way, kind of Nemo, but effectively, no. You become a hybrid of sorts. Yeah. Talking about his clone thought. Yeah, because some people have pushed that particular narrative, like, well, eventually we'll be able to have our memories copied. Well, some of them are like, they're talking about downloading our memories into a robot. And I'm like, no, that is not continuing your existence. That's a copy of you in a computer in a robot. That's all that is. And in the clone, I kind of wonder if it'd be the same thing. It's just a copy of your memories in a clone. Scotty says, George and I have been mates for 327 years. Nemo says, Scotty, it can get complicated. What if they clone you but don't destroy the current you? Are there now two of you or two new people? Read Reasons and Person by Derek Parliff. Have you guys seen The Sixth Day? It actually happened in The Sixth Day, where it was illegal to do with humans in the movie. It was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And anyway, the dog got killed, and they had this. You could do it with dogs, so you could put the memories of the dog into a clone of the dog, and then so he tried to bring the clone dog home. So his kids wouldn't know, that the dog got killed. Anyway, he ended up getting cloned. There was these people doing illegal stuff, and they were cloning each other. And at some point in the movie, the main bad guy, like him and his people, like he had cloned his own people a number of times because they get killed doing the bad shit that they did. They get killed sometimes, so they'd make a clone. Anyway, he had it set up where, to make clones of himself if something happened to him. Well, he had been, I don't know, stabbed or shot or something, and he was dying. So he activated a clone, but it got activated too quickly or something, so it wasn't like completely formed. But it was the size of him as an adult, but it wasn't properly formed yet. Anyway, the clone of him started taking the clothes off of him before he was dead, and he was like shocked by that. It was like creepy too. It was like that clone had his memories. It, as far as it knew, it was him. Gave zero shits about the him that was dying. It was messed up. T-Boy says, but life happens hard to tell kids how to live their life at 26. Yeah. Yeah. Prairie Fire says, I'm hearing you, Timmy boy. Icon says, who is the picture-in-picture weirdo? Is he constipated? Oh, that was from Highlander, man. Scotty says, Facebook wasn't even in my realm when my kids came along. Social media never entered my head when my kids were born. Not like these days, women getting pregnant on TikTok. Yeah. We'll look him up. Thank you, Nemo. It's not the years, it's the mileage. Yeah. Icon says, fuck retirement. I'll work until I'm dead, like it should be. Yeah. When you stop working, man, you just start breaking down. You're not being active anymore. You pretty much, you start declining. And I think there's definitely something to, with older people, they start to decline the worse they feel like they have no purpose anymore. So it's like a built-in part of your psyche. If you feel like you have no purpose anymore, you can just freaking like die. You'll eventually just shut down and die. So old people need to feel like they have purpose, or you will see them decline, and they could die pretty quickly. Under those conditions. So give yourself that purpose. Be used to giving yourself that purpose. You can't rely on other people to give you purpose. It's helpful if you have those people around you, but some people don't, and you need to be a self-driver. Just to make damn sure. Scotty says, mileage, been around the block too many times. Soft kill for the wet wear. Hunger strike is good for you. Yeah. Scotty says, they say the key to a long life when it comes to food, eat like a king at breakfast, a prince at lunch, and a peasant at dinner. Yeah, I've heard that saying, but I call complete BS on that saying. That's not true at all. It just isn't. Nemo says, Haywood, it's not 3 of the hunger strike. It's not day 3 of the hunger strike. It's day 3 of the ruthless fast. Scotty says, what if the other me is evil and becomes a Dexter? Actually, let's try it. He puts up a tough front, but he's normally really chill, young, ruthless. Nemo says, but when the tribe did not kill the mammoth, there would be berries and veggies to eat. Not necessarily. Berries are just seasonal. I'm really convinced because when I'm eating nothing but meat, hunger is almost not even there compared to what I experienced in regular life. It's just mostly gone because I'm properly fed. Um, those vegetables, yeah, you might fill your belly with vegetables and stuff like that, but those things, they have a lot of anti-nutrients in them. They have a lot of toxins in them. The plants naturally have toxins in them, like broccoli, spinach. Those things are have toxins in them. You shouldn't eat them. And if you examine your waste, you'll see that a lot of that stuff is in there. It didn't even really digest. It's in there. And they tell you, oh, nuts are these super healthy food. They have these healthy things in you, but then they're in your waste. They didn't digest at all. Quinoa, it's spelled quinoa, but it's pronounced quinoa. They were talking there was all this hype, oh, it's a super grain, it's got all the essential amino acids and blah 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 blah. But it doesn't digest. You eat a big enough pile of that stuff, you will spawn like a salmon in the toilet, man. I mean, it'll be a turd, but these things don't digest and they have toxins in them. They're not good for you. I mean, if that's all you got, but if you're not even experiencing any kind of great hunger, you don't need to eat the other stuff. And berries are very seasonal. Berries, in the wild, they're not plentiful. There was no produce section in the grocery store. There weren't these big, farms where they grew tons of this stuff. There were no trucks to bring it to you. Wherever the little area you were in, like all winter long, there's nothing, And even in the summertime, a bush will not have berries on it all the time, and only for a short period of time. And then you got to beat all the wildlife to those berries. And in the wild, pretty much all the fruits that we normally have access to today, they were all smaller. We've bred everything to be bigger because we think bigger is better and more is better and all that stuff. And it's not. It's not healthy for you to eat fruit all the time, despite what the damn food pyramid tells you. A little here and there is probably okay. When you look at the hunger response to carbs, and how when you eat carbs, it makes you want to eat more and more and more. It certainly appears that what our system's set up for is that in the wild, humans, when they did find a fruit tree, they were your system's geared to kind of make you eat all the fruit that you can, and that's the only time you can store fat too. Storing fat when you're not eating carbs is next to impossible, because it's a hormone. There's stuff going on with your hormones. You go into a fat storage mode of sorts when you're eating carbs. But when you're not eating carbs, it's just that isn't there, and the hunger goes way down. So that's just part of the deal there. It's like you don't need that hunger if you're eating the proper food. And when you eat carbs, it sends that response to your system, makes you want to eat more. But these days, we got carbs everywhere. We found new ways of making carbs. We've processed shit. We've even refined sugar. I mean, it's just gotten ridiculous. And then we wonder why everybody's fat and getting diabetes and all these other diseases. And it's because we're not supposed to have this stuff. You got to think about, what would you have actually in the wild? And it can differ a little bit based on your ancestry too. If you're Inuit, I mean, that's a heavy fat eating people there. Seals and stuff like that. Their system is geared to a higher fatty diet than most people's. If your ancestry comes out of sub-Saharan Africa, well, you might be more adapted to incorporating some plants and some fruits more often. If you're of Northern European descent, plants are almost not even required except for fruits on occasion. Those people were definitely mastodon hunters and hunters of 160 species of other types of megafauna, the biggest, fattiest red meat-eating animals on the planet. That's what they were focusing on. Michael says, I'll pinch off your head, Scotty, if you turn out mean. Icon says, it's just in. Some crazy mofo just drove their red SUV through a Christmas parade in Wisconsin, took out 20 people. Not sure how many dead yet. That's about a half hour from here. Man, crazy. Scotty says, I could become Michael Haywood's fluffer. Whoa. It's crazy. Fucked up. Yeah. Batmom says, do I know you from a different name? You might know him as Icon the Great. Scotty says, that's horrible, Icon. Prayers to the poor souls. Yes. Michael says, Scotty, you are a sick man, but I like that about you. Thank you. I appreciate tips. Troy Barracks, a new name. Welcome. The Batmom, my other newer handle is Icon the Great. Batmom says, you're very not normal, but normal is boring. Haywood says, the Grinch got his driver's license back, perhaps. Batmom says, it's because the government thinks they own us. Yeah. Something to Sasquatch about is here. Welcome. Let's see here. It's a tragedy, all right. What goes through these arseholes' minds? Who knows, man? Polly T's here. Welcome. Says hello. Or says, hey, Mr. Lock. Chat evening, y'all. Jay Cappy, you hiding in chat? I don't know if we have anyone hiding in chat. I guess there's supposed to be some way you can look and see who's all in chat, but I don't know how to do that. Maybe I can figure it out. I don't know. Let's see here. Is there some way to figure that out? Oh, there we go. I guess I figured it out. So we got, says 13 watching, but besides me, there's 6 people in chat. I don't see any J Cappy. Sorry to disappoint you. Well, so I mean, it sounded like, I mean, you're sounding like those of you that have responded to the question. Sounds like you all sound like what I normally hear. You know, is that most people don't want to live extended lifespan, even if they're going to be young and healthy the entire time. Most people don't want to live extended lifespan, and that's fine. You know, you should have that choice, and that's what that's what's just baffling to me, is that there are people out there who don't want me to have the choice to utilize technology to live a drastically extended lifespan. They want to take away my right, but they want the right to do what they want to do. Look, freedom goes both ways, motherfuckers. You get to do what you want to do, and I get to do what I want to do. And if you don't want me to do what I want to do, then you don't value liberty as much as I do, for sure. You just value your own liberty. See, a person that truly loves liberty for everybody, even if someone else is doing something they don't agree with. Like we were talking about drugs earlier. I don't think people should use meth, but I think people should be perfectly free to use meth if they want to. I think it's a dumb decision, but that's their business. That's liberty. I see a person doing that. The flag is a really contentious one for this, right? Because a lot of people, America, but they see someone burning a flag and they get all pissed off and they say they shouldn't be able to do that. They shouldn't have right to that. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Burning the flag is freedom of expression. So when you see a person burning a flag, even though you don't like the flag being burned, you should like the fact that a person can still have that freedom of expression. Because if they don't have that freedom of expression, that flag doesn't mean shit. It just doesn't. If a person can't burn the flag, then there is no liberty for that flag to stand for, and that flag is just a worthless piece of cloth. So when I see someone burn the flag, I'm like, yeah, maybe they don't appreciate everything about America. But right now they're demonstrating the liberty that flag is supposed to stand for. And that's a good thing. Jen says, Locke, that's my old chat name. Oh, I got you. Paul AT says, Lockbeard, I'm talking to her. Okay, gotcha. Uncle Bone says at the top there are 3 dots. Click on there. Yeah, I figured it out, Uncle Bones. I never clicked on that before, I don't think. Jen, I usually I'm looking at it on StreamYard. I had to go over on YouTube because I don't think I can do that here in StreamYard. Jen says, pretty good, Polly. Rain and cold here. How are you, hun? Troy Barrett says, I don't, and when it's over, I don't want to come back, period. Well, yeah, but I mean, you weren't here last night where we were discussing the nature of the spirit and the true nature of what you are, and we kind of touched on, how, well, you really need to go and try to glean how not to be reincarnated from Ken, or maybe there's someone else out there that's providing the proper information about that. But the problem is if you haven't achieved enough wisdom when you die, you may be doomed to come back again and again and again until you figure it out and get it right. And I'm not saying I figured it out yet. That's one of my concerns. I really didn't address that last night, that I'm kind of concerned about that. When I die, will I still be too ignorant to avoid my spirit being latched onto another physical body and having to go through the whole damn thing again, which means you don't remember before that physical body. That's how the system works. You don't remember it, so you gotta figure out in the physical body how to achieve that level of wisdom. So who knows how many times you're going to come back. Even after hearing that, it's not enough to hear that. There's more to do, but yeah. Polly T says, tired as an old warhorse that's shot to hell. Thanks for asking. And Jen says, get you. Polly T says, hey, cool kids. Enjoy the show. Mr. Lock, chat. Good night, y'all. God bless. See you later, Polly T. So, yeah, they were talking about the question earlier on Hairy Man hoaxes and hoodwinks. Will good video be enough to prove Sasquatch exists? And there was some disagreement about that. I think it'll bring some new people around, but the majority of the non-people that don't believe now, even if good video comes out, they still won't believe. And there's such a stigma on this whole thing, is it's just kooky ass shit, that most scientists just won't even touch it, I think. You pretty much got to roll up with a body, which sucks because I don't want to see one of the Sasquatch people die. You know, but surely, hopefully, you know, we just find one, right? Some old Sasquatch dude just kicked the bucket and somebody lucked out and found it. Something to Sasquatch about says, I think video mostly would be subjective belief in it, in my opinion, unless it's long-term video observation that suits best for video, I think. Yeah. Yeah, someone like if Pat, you know, Pat seems real sure of himself that he's going to be able to do it. I don't know how soon he'll be able to implement his plan, but if he can consistently make observations, and then other people can do the same thing, and the real scientists, right? If they can replicate this, then yeah, that will prove it. I worry about it some though, because you know, once we learn how to successfully observe them all the time, you know, are they going to be harassed? I don't want to see them harassed by humans. You know, I brought up a few times on phenomena in the past, and I brought it up when I jumped on with Pat the other night about will it be mostly beneficial or mostly detrimental to the Sasquatch people once they are proven to exist. And Pat says he wants to do a show on that. So hopefully he can put together, you know, a bunch of people, and they can kind of address all the concern, because there's a lot of different ways things can go. With humans, man, humans are a wild card. Who knows what could happen. I hope that what happens is when people become aware that there is this race of people in the woods who are, we keep pushing them back and pushing them back. You know, people think, well, there's plenty of wilderness. I'm like, yeah, but the whole damn place was wilderness at some point, and we destroyed a lot of that. I mean, how much do we get to take? You know, how greedy are we? You know, and right now I feel kind of a claustrophobic feeling about, because I can't just go out into truly, you know, the wilderness only goes so far, and then you come across a road or a fence. You know, it only goes so far. You know, yes, it's still pretty big, but it seems big to people who haven't come up to it, you know, haven't actually been in, you know, real national forests and stuff like it. It just seems big. The reality is the whole damn planet was wild at some point, and we kind of screwed a lot of that up, and I don't like it. And I know a lot of people disagree with this, and you know, I think they're wrong. I think humans need to not only stop destroying any more habitat, but we need to start backing off and restoring some of the stuff that we destroyed. We have taken too much. You know, our species did not evolve in every ecosystem on the planet. We evolved in one place, and then we continued to evolve after we started to spread out. But by our nature, it allowed us to basically colonize every damn thing, and we aren't part of those ecosystems. We aren't truly part of the ecosystem here in the United States, and yet we think we can take half of it. I think we need to tread a lot more lightly. That's all I'm saying. We can learn and to live in more harmony with nature. But we just don't. You know, there's more subdivisions going up around this area all the time. So my hope is that if the Sasquatch are proven to exist, people will have a greater drive to stop destroying, you know, their land, because technically they're an indigenous people, right? And hopefully the government implements a law of similar to like uncontacted tribes in Amazon, where they say, look, you're not allowed to go fuck with these people. I hope that's what happens, but a lot of different shit can happen. And so hopefully whenever Pat does a full-fledged show on that, and he gets all the, you know, all the usual suspects to be up in there, you know, get some Steenberg up in there, and you know, Leon can weigh in, and Curious Cryptid Steve could be up in there, and you know, and touch on hopefully most of the potential problems that can arise, and then the good stuff that can arise out of the proof of Sasquatch existence. Because you know, I think it needs to be talked about. Yeah, you heard the train? Yeah, they're a train track, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like a quarter mile that way, I think. Jen says, good video will get a lot of buzz and picked apart. Don't think it would prove completely. Yeah, not one video. And that's what I think something the Sasquatch about is talking about is you know, it needs to be something. Whoever figures out how to do it, and then they show some of the real scientists, the ones that don't have too much ego, to just say, no, it's not real, it's not real. You know, because there's egos. Look, scientists have egos. And if, you know, if some dude out there who doesn't have a degree manages to pull off something that the entire biological scientist community has failed to do, they're all going to be butthurt. Almost all of them are going to be butthurt as hell, because you know they think they there's this feeling of the prestige and stuff about them. I mean, I have a degree, and I have no problem saying this. And so I know there's got to be other people like me. Is like, look, sometimes the great discoveries come from people who didn't get any education at all. Sometimes people who didn't get, even out of high school can be rich. Education isn't the end all be all of accomplishment and science and intellect. I've seen some morons graduate college, man. Just because you can regurgitate information out of the book doesn't necessarily mean you're that intelligent. And just because you didn't graduate high school doesn't mean you're stupid. It's, so hopefully there's enough scientists out there who don't get all butt hurt and won't even look at it. Hopefully that's not that big of an issue. But Michael Haywood says, what in a video will be the convincing factor that makes everyone say it's real? I think repeatable observation, like something the Sasquatch about was saying there. It needs to be something that's repeatable. Once someone figures out how to film these things successfully, clear video, and then is able to show others how to reproduce that, that will get science on board. Even though science should already be on board with the footprints, because there's that's a whole science of itself. Animal tracks and stuff like that. You can designate. You can a new species can be discovered by its tracks alone. But for some reason, Sasquatch is off the menu in that regard. If you find tracks and it's not of a known species and you got an expert who can confirm, so look, there's these tracks out here, people have been finding these things, but it's not of a known species, because we know what all the known species tracks look like. They can declare the discovery of a new species from tracks alone. But Sasquatch apparently is off the menu for that kind of discovery. Jen says, once proven, I bet governments would try to control them, corral them. Not that it would work. Yeah, there's bound to be some of that, because the government wants to control everybody, right? This is an issue, like I've mentioned, the micronational thing. Again, this is something that most people haven't heard about. Like my micronation formed in 2005, the Eternus Empire. Like I can't just go. There's nowhere I can go because all the governments have claimed everything. You can even go to Antarctica. Some of the major world powers have claimed the parts of Antarctica, and in the rest of it, no one is allowed to claim that land because those major powers signed the Antarctic Treaty. I think it's in the Antarctic Treaty. Anyway, they have stated that no one else can claim land in Antarctica. So basically, they have claimed all of Antarctica in that regard. So I can't just go and start, I can't go claim some land there for the Eternus Empire, and we become a great nation of penguin hunters, right? Because there's not a lot to hunt down there, but there's penguins and seals and shit and whales, and we could certainly survive down there just fine if we chose to live there. But these major world powers will have taken control of everything. They don't want to let anyone else into the club, and they won't recognize certain nations that should be. And there's a whole list of them. There's a whole list of peoples and areas of land that want to be their own nation and don't want to be under the thumb of someone else, but they're not allowed. because they've been, they're basically occupied. They're occupied territory. And, most people haven't heard of these places, but they're out there. And so the existing governments want to control everything. They're not happy with what they got. They want to control. If there's one person off the grid, they want to force. Like there was this lady here in the United States, I think in Florida, and she didn't want to buy their running water. She was living just fine in her house. She didn't have running water. She's like, I don't need this shit. They forced her to buy their running water. I thought it was a free freaking country. She don't want your running water. She shouldn't have to buy it. But the the local government forced her. They said you aren't allowed to live without running water. You have to buy our water. That they poison that, by the way. Chlorine and fluoride, they're poisoning your fucking water, just so you know. You don't need that shit in your water. Those are poisons. Most people have heard the problems of fluoride, but then with chlorine reacts with organic molecules in the water to create known carcinogens. The chlorine itself is poisonous. You don't need this shit in your water. Truth, we take too much. We take too much. Tracks that close sounds heavenly. Oh, you like train tracks? Like trains? Icon says, that's how I know trains exist. They leave their tracks behind. Icon says, wonder what penguin tastes like. I don't know, but I bet it's a nice fatty chicken flavor. Scotty says, the old school streamers before the reset, some absolutely beautiful machines built, and then we inherit them and destroy them. Steamers. Oh, yeah. Like chicken, no doubt. Yeah, it probably tastes like chicken. It's probably a fatty chicken. I bet they're a pretty fatty bird. But I think there's more going on with Antarctica too. When you look into all the stuff, all the things that show that there was an ancient worldwide civilization, and that Antarctica wasn't covered in ice, something like 15,000 years ago or so. I think there's remnants of the ancient civilization there. I think they did have some advanced technology, and that's somehow been hidden from us by the major world powers. And they don't want people poking around down there. They don't want us to know what they found. Like when you look at all the megalithic structures and they're around the world, that civilization was worldwide. And there's plenty of indications of that they were worldwide, and they built these massive structures worldwide. Most of it got flooded under the water because when the Younger Dryas impact, if you haven't heard of that, you gotta look into it. The Younger Dryas impact occurred. It caused the sea level to rise 400 feet. So where does most of human civilization exist? It exists near the shoreline, and there's no reason to think that those ancient people weren't equally as coastal focused. In fact, I've made argument for they were probably more coastally focused than we are, but we don't got time to go into that tonight. But anyway, so most of the civilization is under the water now, because the sea level, we know the sea level is 400 feet higher now, because a big freaking rock hit the planet. Not the dinosaur one, This one was way more recent, like 13 to 15,000 years ago. I can't remember the exact date. It's called the Younger Dryas impact that knocked that civilization's dick in the dirt. Pretty much threw most of the world, or maybe even all of it, into the Stone Age. But the megalithic structures, we can't even build this shit now. Like, it would be to build like the Great Pyramid would be just we just couldn't pull it off. With all of our power and all our money, like, we would be like, at the very least, we'd be like, that shit costs too much. To build that damn thing would cost so damn much and take so damn long. Even if we were technically capable of lifting, big enough rocks to equate what they did. Basically, what I'm trying to get to is I think they had anti-gravity technology, which is totally possible. It basically, the beginnings of it is already out there, and it's really pretty simple, But I think that they probably had it mastered beyond, what little that I've seen. And that's why, because like, if you watch that Ancient Aliens TV show, and forget the aliens part, it was a bunch of evidence that somebody did something. None of it says aliens did something. It's just evidence that somebody did that stuff, right? And that somebody, apply your Occam's razor here. The simplest explanation is humans were probably just advanced back then. Not that aliens came from another planet and did all this shit. That's fantastical fantasy that people want to believe in. Humans did all that shit. So anyway, there was one good comment made. I can't remember who made it on the show. It's like, when building with these gigantic stones, right? Because we build everything, like, we use bricks and cinder blocks and stuff like that. We build with small stones because it's the easiest way for us to do it. So why would these ancient people build with these big freaking rocks that are so big that we some of these rocks we don't have the technology to lift right now? They're so freaking big. So why did these people do that? Unless, and this was the comment he made, unless it was somehow easier for them to do it that way. It's easier to cut one big rock for them and build with big rocks than to cut thousands of little rocks or make thousands of little bricks and build out of little bricks. It was easier for them somehow. So what? I mean, think about it. You cut small stones, you got to make all these cuts, right? But if you just cut one big stone, you're making a lot less cuts. And then, so if it's easier for you to lift big stones because you have control and mastery over gravity, that starts to make sense. Prairie Fire says, I believe they are long-term geoengineering the planet for a different species. I've seen no evidence of that, though. There's people out there trying to say that, but I've seen no evidence for that. There's some things you can point to and say, well, this could be, but it's not, it's not evidence for that. You kind of got to. Icon says brains, they could be some very efficient, clean brain engines. Would create a lot more jobs too. And yes, they did want to design a steamer to use nuke power. If I were in the Lardy, I would have an old train put in my backyard. Just a few blocks from where I lived, there was an old caboose parked on the tracks there that I used to play in. Pretty cool. Jen says, is everyone seeing the buffer wheel of doom, or is it my connection? I'm not seeing one. Steam trains were beautiful. Yeah. Still playing good here. Buffer wheel here. No buffer wheel. Icon says, my dad had to work when the railroad he worked for auctioned off its cabooses. He was grieved. Yeah. Jen says, and yep, it's here. Dang. Good here. Lester's here. I'm sorry, Lester, you're at the end. I'm getting ready to cut off. I literally have to cut off because my battery power is down on my computer. I've had it plugged into my other battery pack over here, and it's completely dead. So I have to shut down. But welcome, thanks for coming. Icon says anti-grav tech is like so 1940. Yeah, I mean the government's probably had it. You know, hell, they might have had it earlier, man. They might have had it earlier than that. That's the sickening thing. I think they've been hiding this for so long because it was some of it was left behind from the previous civilization, and I think they've had it a very long time. The Catholic Church may have had it hundreds of years ago, for all we know. You know, I don't know that for a fact, but if the evidence is still in the ground and under the water, somebody probably ran across it a lot earlier than we know. And maybe they didn't understand it, or maybe they wanted to hide it. They didn't want to give people that kind of power over their environment. Jen says, well, the tube went out on my Fire Stick. Phone's okay. Lester says, Icon, how's the new stream going? Most of the tech we have is about 60 years old, I reckon. Yeah, it is. It's going good, actually. Thanks, Lester. Had to take a break tonight. Attended a few issues at home. Hope to be back on tomorrow if you wish to stop by. Michael says, where the hell have you been? I will try for sure. He might have been over at Squatch D TV, but I think they went off. I don't know when they went off. Because we were all at Icons. Yeah. You had me worried. Has taken off, keeping me busy. Icon says, cabooses are awesome. Had quite a few rides when I was a kid. They were still commonplace on the end of trains at that point. Yeah, there's kind of a thing of the past. Has a lot to answer. The Smithsonian has a lot to answer for. I think so. Wagon Breath is here. Welcome. Heard a lot about you. What's up? Welcome. I'm getting ready to shut down though. Sorry. I kind of have to. Scotty says, do you believe in dinosaurs, Lucky? Well, of course. There's bones in the ground. You know, the fossils are there. I haven't found any dinosaur bones myself, but I found plenty of other fossils. Yeah. Just popping in to say hey. Well, hopefully we see you more in the future. Let's see here. Icon says, and yes, I'm sitting here chatting. Needed a brain break. Also, I heard a train. Yeah. I hear trains every so often here. I don't know if this will continue to be my common place to grab Wi-Fi, but I like this place. It's not bad. I park under a tree. Some nice lady over here saw me over here, and I guess she had made a bunch of soup and brought me some soup while ago. So, you know, hey, some free dinner. I wasn't really hungry because I just hit the Chinese buffet and I tore up some raw fish and ate a bunch of squid. Like they had fried calamari, which is okay, but it's breaded, you know. So I ate some of that, but they had steamed squid. That was pretty fucking awesome. And they actually, this is a new place I haven't found yet, and I'm will definitely be back there because it's better than other places. Because you know they have the sushi made, you know, and some of it has the raw fish on it and smoked and different stuff. But they also just have the raw fish by itself on one spot on the bar there, and seaweed. So I can just skip the rice altogether, and eat raw fish with a little bit of that seaweed, and that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Let's see here. Icon says, "Of course I believe in dinosaurs. Old Uncle Bones would be offended if I didn't." That sounds like a bitchin' buffet. Yeah, but they're more expensive than the other ones. I mean, but when you go look at it and compare it to what you get at other Chinese buffets, you can see why. Like, a lot of times, like, I'm wanting that raw fish sushi, and it's kind of, they're not very quick about bringing out more, and you certainly don't have because they put that raw fish piece across the top of a wad of rice when they make sushi or that type, which I don't know if the proper word for it, sushimi or whatever it is. Anyway, but they actually, that piece of fish, like they have a plate over here with just the fish on it. So you can just skip the damn rice. So that's pretty fucking awesome. And I kind of like that seaweed salad stuff, so I can keep it keto, can stay away from the damn rice because that shit's poison anyway. And just do my own sushi thing there. But it's like it's more expensive than other Chinese buffets, so. But that's okay. Like, I'm eating one meal a day. I mean, I ate 2 meals a day here technically because I ate that and I came up here, and then this nice lady over here brought me some soup. So I ate 2 meals a day, but I would challenge most people to eat 3 meals a day. Like, what do? They maybe go hit McDonald's, and you'll spend a pretty penny on some damn McDonald's sometimes, and you're just getting a meal, and it be $12-14. I'm like, are you serious? You think this is actually? I mean, the damn fries are just completely worthless. I'm not even sure. Are those things plastic now? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a real potato at all. Uncle Bon says, "You earned this one, Icon." Lester says, "Is it true in the USA you can't get raw fish? It all has to be steamed first?" I've heard that, but this fish was definitely raw. So I don't know what they are talking about there. But I've heard that. I've heard people say that, but that fish was totally raw, and it was awesome. Before you get, sir. Jeff's coming in at the very end. I have to shut down. This computer is going to shut down on its own any second. But thanks for coming, Jeff. He says, "I'm always amazed at how Asians can fit a 5-gallon bucket of crab legs on one plate." Yeah. Yeah, that was another thing. Like, they didn't have crab legs on this buffet, like I've seen on some buffets in the past. So you just don't see it anymore that much. But they did have like a Louisiana boil, so it was a bunch of crawfish and the little crabs. But man, I don't know what. It's so much work to get any kind of meat out of crawfish and those little crabs. I'm like, I'm not even fiddling with that. Besides, the fish is better, and the squid. The squid is awesome. Icon says, "Not sure. I still get sushi with raw fish on the regular." Yeah, me too. Catch y'all next time, Mark says. Yeah, you too, Mark. Leslie, you can eat raw crappie all you want. Let's see here. Jimbo's, welcome, Jimbo. Says, it's an ancient Chinese secret. Prairie Fire says, "Good night, Lockbeard and all chatters. God bless you too. Thanks for coming." Uncle Bone says, "Jeff, you would know all about crabs." Oh, crap. Uh, Jeff says at all the casinos on seafood buffet nights, the Asians come out. Yeah, they know to stack them crabs. Lester says, Michael, don't say crappie, too cold for me to go fishing. Jimbo says, sup, Lockbeard. What's up, Jimbo? Night all. Yeah, this thing's not even responding very well when I click in your names. But okay, guys. Thanks for coming. Probably see you. I don't know if I'll do another random live before Saturday where I'll do Lockbeard Phenomena and try. I don't know. I don't know if I'll try not to piss people off this weekend. But thanks for coming and see you next time.